Welcome to Inside Abode. You know who it is. This is Dave Jones. Did you know that when we talk about veterans in Washington, about 1 of 5 suicides are among veterans? That's a pretty staggering number in my opinion, and just something that we shouldn't ignore. This is the Veterans Day podcast. Just something to I'll just being fully transparent. We want to make sure we honor those who served our country. We honor our military members, no matter how long they spent in the military. Just as long as we make sure that we understand that these folks are serving not only our communities in a way in terms of being in the military, but serving our country and serving our best interests. So I think that that's important, and does too as well. And as a company as Windermere Abode, feel strongly about that. I had military members in my family. My grandpa, for example, he served in the Korean War. He served, I remember, just being a kid and just looking at all of his fatigues and all that stuff, thinking it was so cool. My other grandpa on my other side served as well. And that's how I have Japanese in my family. He came back with a Japanese wife and, and then had babies. And then those babies had babies. And that's me. So not only immigrant, but also, military members as well, background in my family, and my grandma on my dad's side as well. So, really, really have a lot of respect and honor for those who served our country. So we just want to make sure we give the proper time. And I have a guest today to talk about that and talk about his experience. And it's really every experience is an experience I want to hear about, and everyone has a different take and different story on how they got there and all those other things. And I want to make sure that we open up that conversation for everybody. So today's guest served in the military for 4.5 years in the Navy. He's a Navy person, married to a teacher, I believe. I'll make sure that he corrects me on that. Has a 4-year-old, and probably the biggest Seahawks fan / person you might know. So we might touch on some Seahawks today as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring him out here. But wait, before I do that, make sure you hit the subscribe or the like button. If you're watching this, hit the like button, whatever, and do all that kind of stuff. But I'm gonna bring my guest out, Johnny Langston. How you doing, brother?
Good, good. Thanks for having me.
Doing all right, man. It's like, so this is the first time we've actually talked in person in a long time. I mean, we've gotten on calls and stuff, but we're both running in a bunch of different directions, and I've just been able to watch your family and watch all that. And then we met, man, was that 2019?
Yeah, it's been a
Wow.
while. Yeah, over 6 years ago.
That's crazy. It's been that long.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So tell the audience a little bit about yourself, man.
yeah. Thanks for having me. So I'm Johnny Langston. Served in the Navy for 4.5 years. I did it. I didn't do it traditionally out of high school. I did it probably like early 20s and deployed during that time frame. And then afterwards, I got out and really tried to figure out what was next. And for me, what was next was working in higher education. I've been in the higher education system for over 8 years, and it's been lovely. It's definitely been it definitely was a challenge, I would say, because you're in the military, you don't have to really think about anything. They tell you what to do, where to go, all those kind of things. And so it was almost like a culture shock once I got out, because then I had to figure all that stuff out on my own, right? And it sounds silly to some, but when you're being told what to do, what time to go to bed, what all that kind of stuff, and then sort of it's like, thank you for everything you've done, and now you have to sort of reintegrate yourself into what they call
Mm.
the civilian sector, and that could be shocking for some.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I bet, especially if you don't have, family background, resources, all those kinds of things. I can imagine that that's pretty difficult to navigate. For you, what does Veterans Day mean to you? Is it just kind of like another day? You get a day off and you kind of just chilling, or what? Is there any reflection that you do? Or I don't know. I'm not a veteran, so I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah, I think for me, Veterans Day, it's important. It's I sort of would consider myself what I categorize myself as a silent veteran, in the sense of
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of people probably wouldn't know that I'm a veteran. I don't really say that much about it. I'm not ashamed about it, but it just is something that, I lost some people during the time that folks that I served with,
Mm-hmm.
some folks during deployment. I lost some folks to, unfortunately, mental health challenges,
Mm-hmm.
some folks that I knew. And so while it's different, obviously, than Memorial Day, it's just to remember those folks that just ultimately some that gave their life for the greater good. And I think for me, I always had a goal in mind, and at that time I had joined. Everybody, like you said earlier, people join for different reasons, and my reason was to sort of get my life together and go to school afterwards. And so I was, I didn't know how to do that at the time when I
Hmm.
joined, and I knew that the Navy was going to pave that way for me once I was done.
Yeah, that's so when you were making that decision, you just it was a lot of it was just opportunity for you. Is that what that's what kind of
Yeah, opportunity, I would say. I thought it was going to be an opportunity for me to see the world.
mm,
In a sense, I did, just in a different way. I think I thought I was going to be going to Spain and those kind of things, and I didn't.
mhm,
I went overseas and was stationed on the West Coast, which is, I think, what brought me at the end towards the Pacific Northwest, right? I never was stationed in Washington. I think
really?
when,
Okay.
yeah, I think when a lot of people here, at least out here, they automatically tie, JBLM or Bremerton or anything like that. And I honestly never stepped foot on that base um, prior to that. I was mostly stationed in California, and then I was in North Carolina for some time.
Okay.
But yeah, for me, it was an opportunity, I think, for honestly to better myself. I was young. I really didn't know what I was trying to do. My mom was a single mom at the time.
Mhm,
And I just knew that education was important and something that was important to me. And at the time, that recruiter was like, here, this is what we can provide for you after
mhm.
your time is done.
Yeah, I feel like those recruiters play a big role too, like that relationship that you that you gain with students and whatnot. And as I'm hearing you talk, one person I failed to mention who I just was with, my father-in-law Pete, he served in the Vietnam War. So shout out to Pete as well. And so, we all probably have some type of military in our family or someone who served. And so I feel like this day is like one of those ones where hopefully people are taking that opportunity to thank folks and for their service. But what was like, so you mentioned earlier about your transition, like being told what to do and then
Mhm.
like coming out into the real world and being a civilian and like, what was the hardest part of that transition from service to civilian life? And what do people misunderstand about that? Like, in terms of grace given and all that kind of stuff, what do we misunderstand?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I'll speak for myself. I had a goal in going to school, and I achieved that goal, right? But once I enrolled in school, it was, again, it was a whole culture shock because I remember, or at least for me, I was getting yelled at.
Yeah.
Not every time what I'm about to say, but in
No, but
sometimes
yeah.
I was in, some duress when I was overseas, and none of
Yep.
that was going on. And so I was, had to integrate myself with with folks that didn't know anything about the military.
Yeah.
And so, was that I probably would say it would be the hardest of like how to realize that I can basically do whatever I want. If I want to get up at
Hmm.
noon, I could, and that wasn't the case
Yeah.
beforehand. And
Yeah.
so that was probably it was again just a little bit of a shocker. Like, I don't know how much folks know on this show, you and I now can go on if we're blessed to, if we want to go on vacation, we can go on vacation tomorrow if we wanted to, right?
Yep.
But in the military, you have to put in leave and it has to be approved, and they definitely can say no to that. And
Yeah.
more often than not, they do. And so, and then on top of that, if you're traveling out of state, they have to approve that. So it's like, it's a lot of stuff that is not, at least when I was in, I'm pretty sure that's how it is now too.
Hmm.
It's you're just not able to come and go as you please.
Yeah. And, there's the benefits being, like like use the GI Bill. Did you use the GI Bill for schooling?
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
used I used the GI Bill for my undergrad. So I ended up getting my went to undergrad and graduate school, and then there's something that's called, excuse me, VRNE, which is vocational rehab.
Mm.
So that basically it's different than the GI Bill,
Okay.
and basically you meet with a counselor, and that counselor will then talk to you about, like, basically saying that with the degree that I had at the time, I needed an advanced degree in order to make myself stand out.
Got it.
And so they help you with that. And again, that's fully funded.
That's
But
cool.
you had the kicker to that comparison to the GI Bill, you have to be at least 10% what the VA considers disabled in
Okay.
order to qualify for it. And then also the the counselor has to make sure that they approve it. So it's sort
Okay.
of like a two-step process, and then there's check-ins with them, making sure it's a little bit more strict than the GI Bill.
Mm-hmm.
And that 10% disability could be for anything, for like, a lot of people think when it's like, and this was me pre-military, when you think about a disability or some, you're thinking about someone that served, that they lost a limb or something like that, but it could be for, hearing loss
Mm-hmm.
or anything like that. So it's it's a good benefit to use if you're eligible for it.
Yeah, that's, like, so even just looking at this stat, so I had a stat, I was just looking up different stats about vets, and it says nationally about 23% of veterans have anxiety and depression and receive counseling. So that's a good, I mean, it's good that folks are seeing that, but I imagine that that's a thing as well. Like we talk about mental health and all of that. So just making sure that folks get what they need. And it sounds like the services are there for folks in the military.
Yeah, I think the services are definitely there. I think for me myself, I'll speak. I definitely struggled once I got out,
Mm,
and I think it's being comfortable to be able to talk to somebody when you're feeling those challenges. Without the system, as I would say, the VA system is definitely hard to navigate for sure.
mm,
I was very fortunate in that before I got out, I had someone that assisted me. But, there's resources out there like Wounded Warrior and those kind of things where you have some folks that could potentially help you to get
mm-hmm.
the services that you need. And some people just never want to get those services. And I think, that folks need to at least just explore it, right? I think
Yeah.
those services are there. You did your time, however long your time is. And I think the resources are out there for you,
Hmm.
but I will say it's not that easy to navigate. You definitely have to make sure that you're talking to the right people and making sure that you're getting assistance.
Okay. Yeah. Good to know. Cause yeah, when I was looking at that number, I was like, well, I know that can't be everybody. Like there's got to be another
Hmm.
percentage that
Hmm.
maybe that reports that did have not received counseling, but do suffer
Hmm.
from severe depression and anxiety. And that's not just military men. I mean, that's every man on earth at
Yeah,
this point.
yeah.
But, like, so how did your sense of identity change after leaving? I mean, I think you kind of answered this and you started rebuilding yourself in the schools and whatnot.
Hmm.
What form, and we were talking about the supports, but do you see any gaps where maybe we might be missing something like I mean, I think mental health, we just mentioned one probably, because you can't
Hmm.
see that, it's not visible. But are there any other gaps that you think that you can think of in terms of like your own personal experience in transition that maybe us civilians who've never been in the military or have any exposure to it might not be thinking about?
Yeah, I think there's, speaking specifically with mental health, I think the gaps are the ability on how you can see somebody. I know myself personally,
Mm,
you try to see somebody, it could take up to like 4, 5, 6 months, and that, if someone's suffering from a really severe mental health episode, that's too long, right? And I think, it's, at least for me personally, I think I am comfortable enough. I connect with somebody outside of that network that is approved by the VA. They let you connect with somebody because the wait times are a little bit less, but I think the capacity is too strong for them. And then you also got to have like the trust factor too with that. The trust goes a long way. Are you
mhm.
going to be able to trust that person to make sure that they take care of you? And I think for me, it took me a couple people in order for me to connect with them. So, I think my wish for not only myself, but for other veterans is, I wish the wait times were a little bit longer. And I think
Mhm.
that's probably higher than both you and I.
Yeah.
But, I'm fortunate enough that I didn't turn into what, I definitely could have gone down a dark path. And
Mhm.
I'm fortunate enough that, I knew that I wanted to find those resources, I knew that it was important for me to be here for just for folks, and so that was me, and unfortunately, not everybody is that lucky, right? And like I said, I've lost folks that I know that served with me that unfortunately the burden was too much for them for whatever reasons, and
Hmm.
it's hard. It's hard to know that they did that time and they felt like they couldn't get help.
Yeah, it's interesting because on what I keep going back to you talking about, and this is just something I hadn't thought about, which was when you're talking about like having someone make decisions for your daily life in terms of the structure and the schedule of that. And I feel like, you see a lot of young kids in your work that are transitioning from, high school to post secondary education. And there's a lot of kids who may not have that structure in their life, even in high school, even if they are trying to get into college. There's a lot of kids that aren't trying to get into college that need that structure in life. And I have always felt that the military is a great way to get someone into a situation where they have meaning, they have purpose, they have structure, they have guidance, they're in a system, they get the GI Bill, they get a V. I just feel like there's endless opportunities for certain students or young people who decide to want to go into military. I think that it's upside only for some people. And so I've always encouraged that. And the flip side of that, what you're talking about is okay, you go from someone who tells you everything to do, but do you still learn? It's kind of having training wheels on in terms of life, in terms of your daily structure of your life. Does that make sense? I don't know if
Hmm.
I'm just
Hmm.
trying to
Hmm.
balance the two between like, man, it's super needed, but then also the transition out might be a
Hmm.
little more difficult for some than others, you know? I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm just something I was thinking about and pondering as I'm hearing you talk.
Yeah.
But like, in terms of just now you're in this new life and you're probably the biggest Seahawks person, man. Let's talk to me about these Hawks, man. Like, I know we're flipping subjects here real quick, and
Hmm.
but like, what's like, yeah, tell me about the Seahawks and how that even came about.
Yeah, I think for me, I've been a Seahawks fan. I've been in Washington for gosh, at least 9 years now. And I'm a huge so I should back up. I'm from Florida, so I sort of have a mix. I'm a huge Miami Heat fan.
Yep.
How people are fans of the Mariners out here. I grew up watching the Marlins,
Okay.
so
So you're a closet
I watch.
Marlins fan.
I'm a closet Marlins fan. But then for me, yeah, the Seahawks have always been something, and I was I've always been a fan, and so I'm fortunate enough to be around and do some things with them. As far as this year's team, I think they're really special. I've said that for folks, if they follow me on any socials, I've been JSN, also known as Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Hmm.
He's that guy.
Yeah.
I've said that 3 years before he came in the league, and I think that what's going on with the Seahawks is really special, man. I think I'm blessed. I have the opportunity to go to almost pretty much every game
Yeah.
and get to see the action. And so what they're doing right now, I think is really special, and we'll just see. It's still early on in the season, but this team's really exciting for sure.
Yeah, man, I went to one of the training. I've never been to a training camp before, and I've been watching the Seahawks since the Kingdom. Dave
Mm,
Craig and Steve Largent, and Kenny Easley and all the. But what I saw was there was one guy out there who had silver shoes, and that's JSN, and that dude was
mm,
different. I was like, it's practice, and so you don't know. But I'm like, yeah, he jumped off the field to me. I was like, whoever that is,
mm,
he's gonna. And I was like, oh, okay, that's JSN. Got it. So I already saw kind of what that was, but I think the difference maker in all of sports is that locker room, man. And it feels like what the coach is doing in terms of galvanizing the group and getting them to believe and buy into their roles and all that kind of stuff. Because a lot of teams have talent, but like I feel like, and like Sam Darnold, I mean, there's a lot of question marks around what he was going to be. And he's solid. Obviously, he's solid. I don't think he's going to lose a lot of games for you, but he's going to win a lot of games for you. That's the question. And so, yeah, in that locker room, it seems like that coach has got them tapped in, man. I don't
yeah,
know.
I mean, you're obviously tapped into the community. I think it took a lot for us to get rid of Gino, right? And then then you get rid of DK. I think even sort of ties into what we're talking about with the veteran community, change is hard, right? And I think
Hmm.
for diehards, I definitely wasn't here during the Kingdome era or anything like that. But for diehard fans, I will say my father-in-law is like, oh my gosh, I don't know, we're gonna be terrible.
Everyone is saying that.
We got rid of we got a Pete. We're gonna be terrible. We're gonna go three and something. Go back even before that. We got rid of Russell. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
we're gonna be the Cleveland Browns. And I think like I said, again, as this ties into the, change, it's inevitable. And I think for me, especially just even in my day-to-day job that I do, you have to be able to adapt with change
Mm,
and be able to just roll with it. And for me, I was just, I told my father-in-law's name Sean, love him by the way, shout out to him.
mhm,
But I just told him, I said, just watch, watch this team. I think, we've done great things. I don't know if you know that, you probably do, but there's actually a kid from Stillicum doing amazing things over there in Tampa with Emeka. We obviously we had to move a different route, but imagine if we had Emeka
oh,
and
man.
JSN. I mean, he's doing great, and so I had the opportunity, obviously, to see him when they played Tampa and got us. But a lot of people out here. I know we're talking about Seahawks, but basketball, with Paulo,
Mhm.
I got to hang out with Paulo at the home opener, and so that was cool. And
Yeah.
he's obviously out from out here and everything like that. And so I just think that what the Seahawks are doing is special. I get the opportunity, like I said, to follow them, and we'll see. Like I said, we're midway through the season, but we'll see what goes on.
Yeah. No, that's dope, man. Yeah, we have a lot of talent in this area, man. And I feel like we're literally in a golden era. Like, I know people, it might not, but like with the Mariners doing what they're doing, that was magic. With Seattle doing what they're doing, I feel like it's destiny, at this point. Like, they're going to the playoffs, they're going to
Hmm.
make some noise, right? And so we're spoiled right now to have multiple teams in the playoffs. We had the Storm,
Hmm.
like, and they had their run. We had the Kraken a couple years ago, I believe, made it to the playoffs and made it to, I think, the semis.
Yeah.
But like, that's not normal to have all these teams be so successful in a
Hmm.
small amount of time. So I
Hmm.
feel like, you got the Huskies. Oh shoot, the Huskies just went to, the national. Like,
National championship, right?
that's crazy. Like, the last time I saw that happen was 1990. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a long time ago. And I'm just saying how old I am, basically. But that's yeah, we're in a golden era, man, for Seattle sports for sure. And we're missing one big glaring thing, which is my Sonics. But I do keep up with the Heat still. I like Jaquez. I'm a big Jaime Jaquez guy.
Okay.
Love his game. But like Inspo, obviously great coach, one of the best to
Yeah.
do it right
Out
now.
from
So
the Pacific Northwest,
yeah,
University of
yeah,
Portland, went to
yep.
Jesuit. Yep.
So, Spo's a G, and like, so I always keep track of, I have a few teams I like to keep track of just because I like the culture that they built and just respect
Yeah.
what they do.
Yeah.
And LeBron was there, obviously, but I kept track
Yeah.
before that.
We're struggling right now, but we'll be all right.
Yeah, yeah, but the thing with the Heat culture is a real thing, and when you play competitive, when you have a competitive culture, you're always going to be a competitive club. That's the thing with them, and they're going to make a move. I mean, you could see a Ja Morant down there. You could see, I don't know. I don't know if Ja would fit, but yeah, the Heat there's some moves that they could make that.
I mean, and yeah, well, I mean, they went to they went to the Eastern Conference Finals. What was it? 2 out of the 3 years recently.
Yeah,
Not
they're fine.
not went to the championship, the lockout one,
Yeah.
obviously. But I mean, and they've got good guys in Bam. I like the addition of Norman Powell right now. I think that fits
Hmm.
them better. I like Jaquez. I like our the other Jokic.
Yeah, he's tough.
He's tough. And I'm blanking out right now. Our center, the big kid from Indiana.
Khalil Ware.
Yeah, he's nice.
I
I
like
mean,
him.
so I think you got him, you got Bam, you got Tyler Hero's injured, but you got Tyler Hero when he comes back.
Yeah. Shoot. Yeah. You guys will be fine, man. You'll be all right.
Yeah, I think we'll be okay. But the Heat definitely, as far as Florida teams, the Heat have been, man. Yeah, I lived in Florida during. I got to watch LeBron. That's the only time I've watched LeBron in person.
Oh, wow.
And what was that? '06? Yeah,
Yeah.
'06 during their championship run. I didn't go to
Mm,
the championship, obviously, but to see him, that was like prime LeBron
man,
when
you
he
guys
was
had,
with, yeah, when he was with Wade, Chris
yeah,
Bosh, and yeah, man, to be a Heat fan during that time. But I've been a Heat fan since, oh God, you got me on the Heat. I've been a Heat fan. I'll throw a name out there. Ronnie Cycli.
I was just going to say Ronnie Cycli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim Hardaway, obviously the
Yeah.
others, Jamal Mashburn.
Yeah.
I've been a Heat fan forever.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember when they first came on the scene. I think it was like 88. They had a expansion
Yeah.
draft. It was the Heat and the Timberwolves or the Magic or
Yeah.
something. I don't know. It was like
Yeah.
there's all these teams, new teams around the 90s coming into the league. And
PJ Brown. If
yeah.
you remember PJ Brown.
Yep. Yep.
I remember that was when the Heat too. That was when the Heat when they had Zoe and PJ, that was like if you watch the old videos of Van Gundy hanging onto Zoe's
Hanging on
leg
those.
when they're playing the Knicks. And I
So
mean
funny.
they used to get into it. The Knicks and the Heat,
They
they used
did.
to get into it.
They
I mean those
did.
games that would be like a 7-game series. I mean the Knicks have gotten better now, obviously.
Yeah.
But the Knicks were really tough back then for sure.
They were. They
So
were.
yeah, the Heat for me, man, yeah. When people ask about me being, and it's something we haven't even talked about, probably along with you. I mean, I definitely will get on that Son. I mean, I'm on the Sonics train, and we need the Sonics back for sure.
Yeah.
And I've been to their, what do they call it out here in Climate Pledge, like the exhibition games when they bring like the
Oh,
NBA
yeah.
teams here.
Yeah.
So I've been a couple of those when they bring the clips out here and stuff like
Yep.
that. But we need the Sonics back for sure.
Man, I'm already in for season tickets, but I want to work for the Sonics. So similar to
Yeah.
how, you're with the Seahawks and doing work with them, like I want to work for the Sonics in some capacity when they come back. It's not I want to, I am going to. You know what I mean? Like there's
Hmm.
enough positions there. Like I'll figure something out, but I do plan on being involved with the Sonics when that time comes.
Hmm.
And has to, because I'll have grown kids out of the house now. You know what I mean? It's gonna be
Yeah.
like I don't have anything. It's like I get done here at the office, and it's like, all right, well, what am I doing tonight? I'm not gonna work more. Well, if I am gonna work more, I want to go do it at the Sonics game if I can.
Yeah.
Like I'll drive to Seattle for that.
Yeah, that
So
would
yeah,
be there's enough out here obviously with, and you're probably, again, you're more tapped in with just Crawford doing his thing
uh-huh.
over at Seattle Pacific. I just ran into Isaiah Thomas. I went out to dinner. If you've ever been, shout out Cuerno Bravo, by the way.
Yeah, yeah,
If you ever been a
yeah,
Cuerno, and he's doing a lot. He's doing a lot in the community. But he was out there, and so I think you've got a lot of
yeah,
NBA superstars that live out here, obviously.
yeah,
Those are just a few. Obviously, Zach Levine.
yeah.
That would,
Tons.
and just us normal fans. That would be, I mean, that would be big for the city of Seattle
Yeah.
and the state.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, like the commissioner talks about, that they keep saying that they're bringing them back, but it's time. It's been too long for sure.
Yeah, I just don't like how they're using us as leverage in other talks with other cities. That's the only thing. I'm like, it's nasty, man. Like, don't use this as leverage. Oh, well, if you don't do this, we're gonna move you to CS. It's like, come on, man. Like,
Hmm.
I know they're
Hmm.
not doing that like directly. I'm just
Yeah.
assuming, and it's totally assumption on my part. But at the same time, it's like you have literally Silicon Valley 2.0 up here. It makes zero sense to not have a team up here when you see the
Hmm.
success of all the other franchises, the Kraken. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been. Have you ever been to a Kraken game,
I've been to one. Yeah.
dude? That environment is electric. Like it's
Hmm.
like 75% of people in there have a Kraken jersey on. Like it's crazy. And I loved it. I enjoyed that. I enjoy that whole situation. I've been to a couple of them, and I've enjoyed myself every time. Climate Pledge is
Hmm.
dope. We're right on the cusp, man. We're gonna be good. We're all right. I'm not even worried about it. It's just a matter of when, not if.
Hmm.
I'm good. So yesterday was veterans, like honoring the veterans at the games. Were you at the game yesterday? You were at the game yesterday in
Yeah, I
Seattle.
was
How'd
at the
that
game
go? Was that
yesterday.
dope?
Yeah, it was great. Great experience. It's like I said, it's a special time. It's probably one of my favorite besides the home opener. And I was just actually talking to one of my friends about it. I think about it. I got it in 2012,
Hmm.
so quite some time. I mean, that's 13 years ago, but during that time frame, it just means so much. Like I said, I lost someone that I served with at the time when we were deployed overseas. And so I take that time just to say a little prayer and
Mm.
just reflect on it. Easily could have been me for sure.
Mm.
And I just think about, I can't believe for that during that time, during when I was deployed, it was 2010. I mean, that's 15 years ago. I can't believe 15 years has
Yeah.
passed already, and at the time that individual, I mean, he was young, 21 years old, so he would have been, God, do the math, he would have been 36 right now, close to
Yeah.
our age. And so, I definitely count my blessings. I say, a little silent prayer to myself and just say, thank you to those. So it's a great experience. It's a great opportunity to experience a game. It's one of my favorite to go to for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's super dope, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and shout out to all the veterans and military members out there. And we'll have more. I will have more content around this topic, but I just like getting different people's perspectives because everyone has a different experience as service members. And
Hmm.
family members have experiences too. Like it's not just the service members, but it's the families too that support those service members, whether it's someone that's married or had a kid or gets PCSed somewhere. So wives of military members, it's a whole thing. And for those that are listening, if you have not checked out Jana Ross's chats as well, we've done a couple. One on where I always say this. I always say it backwards. Wear Blue Run to Remember is a nonprofit that she's a part of, and Lisa Hallett runs that. And it's a super powerful event. If no one's ever been, like, you should go at least one time in your life. It's super dope. And then last year, we talked about doing more than saying thank you for your service. So those are really good podcasts to listen to for perspective on Veterans Day and veterans in general. But we're going to move on to the next segment. Are you ready for the next segment to end this conversation, Mr.
Yeah.
Langston?
Yeah.
All right, this next segment is called Fill in the Blank, and all you have to do is just fill in the blank. It's a really
Hmm.
easy concept here. So, here we go. When I think of these Saturday mornings, the show I was locked in on was blank.
Gosh, Ninja Turtles. Yeah.
A Ninja
I
Turtle.
I love me some Ninja Turtles. I still will. I love watching the old school movies and everything like that with Splinter and Shredder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Ninja Turtles were the ones. I always loved the video game, and I used to
Yeah.
spend so much time on the Nintendo game on that.
Yeah.
The first album I remember knowing every word to was blank.
Gosh, the first one, probably Casey and JoJo, like their first album that came out. That was big back when I was growing up for sure.
Yeah.
All my life, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That was a good album. The movie I've probably seen more than 10 times without meaning to is blank.
Equalizer with Denzel.
Mm.
Denzel's
Mm.
probably one of my favorite actors.
Mm-hmm.
I was just talking to somebody and said they don't like Denzel, and I was like, that's criminal. But
What's there not to like about Denzel?
yeah, I love Denzel. Yeah, Denzel's, I mean, he's been
He's the GOAT.
just, you can just name any movie. He's legit.
Yeah. I will say, and as a huge Denzel fan, I mean, I was literally Denzel last year for Halloween. The new movie with him and Spike, I enjoyed some of the odes and nods to New York, and I took that movie as two old friends just having fun making some shit because
Mhm.
I was not, I wasn't, I felt like, I don't know. There was just like running scenes with him, and I was like, bro, that's definitely not Denzel running. You know what I'm saying? I was just
Yeah.
like, bro, this is kind of bad. Like, it was good, but it was bad at the same time. But I just enjoyed watching the two do their thing for
Hmm.
they're two old guys now. I watched all the Spike Lee movies back in the day though.
Yeah.
Big Denzel fan, big Denzel fan. But my expectations going in, I guess I had to make sure I managed those. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I love He Got Game.
But
Obviously,
yeah, oh
Ray
yeah,
Allen in there.
oh
I
yeah.
think that movie got me into thinking I was going to go play in the NBA, right? I mean, Ray
Yeah,
Allen
all of
just,
us.
yeah. He Got Game was a great one. Yeah, but I'll watch anything Denzel.
Yeah. Denzel is that guy for sure. All right. The sneaker that defined my childhood was blank.
Gosh, the sneaker that defined my
I would figure
childhood
this would be an
was
easy one,
blank.
but maybe not. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, um, I probably would say Jordans, obviously. I
Yeah.
didn't own any. I didn't own any just because, you know, again, just for several different reasons. We just, as a family, we couldn't afford it back then. I think we could go into a whole separate conversation about the sneaker culture right now. As
Mhm.
I've gotten older, I've been blessed with some folks that I know, and I have all the shoes that I wanted when I was younger,
Yep.
right? But that's probably what would have defined my. I mean, that it definitely did. I just didn't own any, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We have a couple more. If I could bring back one discontinued snack, sorry, if I could bring back one discontinued snack or drink from the 90s, it would be blank.
God, discontinued. I don't even know what's discontinued. I mean,
I
I
know.
love it's still here. I don't drink it as much anymore. And I was actually just somewhere, but it's not discontinued though. I Sprite. I love Sprite.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, Sprite, but that ties into all like, Sprite's always with basketball and everything like that.
Yeah.
But I'd
Yeah.
have to do some more thinking on that because I don't know any discontinued.
Yeah. I don't even know.
I'd have to come back.
I used to mess with Pop Rocks. Like, I don't even know if they have
Okay.
Pop Rocks. They seem like, remember, did you ever have Pop Rocks before where you put them in your mouth and they just like be
Uh-huh.
popping in your mouth? Like, it seemed kind of
Uh-huh.
violent, low key. Like,
Uh-huh.
you giving
Uh-huh.
that to little kids and they just got stuff popping all up in their mouth? Pause, no
Uh-huh.
diddy, but like, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, last one, last one. The Seahawks player who best represents my era of growing up is blank. Or you can do like your favorite Seahawk or whatever. Seahawk that best represents you. How about that?
The Seahawk he's no longer on the team, but I'd probably say Bobby Wagner.
Mm,
Again, I've had the opportunity to connect with him in person.
mhm,
He's very humble. He does a lot of things. He's actually still tapped in. People might not know that to the Seattle community. He's obviously
mm.
part owner with the Storm. He's given back to many food drives and everything like that. But probably we like the same Ninja Turtle actually, Raphael. He he's very quiet, just sort of carries himself, sort of behind the scenes, which is what I like to do.
Yep.
Um, that's probably what I would do. Favorite player, obviously, right now, and it has been JSN. I
Mhm.
think people are just, for those of people that are not aware, I've been on him since probably his senior year at Ohio State, and people are now just catching up to what he's
Yeah.
doing. I actually am. We'll see. This is crazy. Last March, I had said that he would lead the league. I have the receipts for sure
Okay.
in
Yeah.
text
We may.
messages.
Yeah.
I do. I will send that to you
But
afterwards. But
yeah.
I said that he would lead the league in receiving yards last March, last year,
Yeah.
and here we are. And here we are. And I think he's going to be probably offensive player of the year, definitely an All Pro. I mean, I think he will lead the league in receptions for sure. Um, and so, yeah,
Yeah. He's the one, man. Right now, there's no question about it. I don't think now everybody knows. Definitely knows now. Well, man.
and you've got a friend, right? I think you've got a friend. I follow him too. G. He
Hmm.
always talks
Yep.
about G. Scott.
Yep.
He knows him a little bit more personally than I do.
Yep. Yeah.
But he
G's been
always
saying the same thing.
talks about he's the best in the world. Shout out to G. Scott. I
Yep.
will give him. He is. He definitely is. And so,
Yeah. G
yeah,
and you have said the same thing. Like, have for a long time. Like, I've heard it for a
yeah,
long time, and I agreed. I mean, I was like, yeah, I've watched the dude play, and he's cold. Like, he's definitely the guy.
yeah,
And then when
yeah.
he was
I think,
getting down at Ohio State, that's when I knew. I was like, okay, if you're doing that
yeah,
here, like, you're
yeah,
different. You're different, different.
yeah. And then, yeah, obviously we had DK and then Lockett. So he was like not sideline, but you had those two guys that were sort of in front, and it was almost like a hidden gem, right? People just
Yep.
didn't really know, and then slowly but surely, Lockett, went to another team, and so did DK, and so now he was forced to be the number one, and he is definitely, one. He's definitely the one for sure.
I feel like the perfect person for, I forget the young kid's name, the quarterback that we got from Alabama, Milrose,
Milrow, yeah, yeah.
Milrow. I feel like this quarterback in this situation is the perfect situation for him, and I think he's going to be a star if he can continue to develop behind what he's watching and really like
Mhm,
improve. He has
mhm,
star potential. I think everyone thinks that in terms of his ability, but then it's just a matter of like the right situation, which is a lot of pro
mhm,
sports in general and sports in general is
mhm,
just being in the right situation at the right time. And I feel like he's in the right situation at the right time. People forget Michael Vick didn't play his first year. Like he
mhm.
held a clipboard and watched, the guy in front of him. So
And someone similar that they compared Milrow to, and that's a big one. And he actually grew up. So I grew up in a town in Florida, but he played. This quarterback played probably 5 minutes from my childhood home was Lamar.
mm, yeah.
If you ever watched the film of him where he's running towards a touchdown and dude tries to tackle him and he sort of jukes him and then walks into
Yeah.
the end zone.
Yeah, that was cold.
Yeah, I mean that was yeah, Lamar. I mean that's big shoes to fill for sure, but he could definitely right. You think about when Lamar came out, Lamar really
Mhm.
didn't have a polished throwing. He was known as a runner, and Milrow again, right, almost similar. Dob really developed as a thrower, can definitely hurt you with the run. Uh, and so I think, yeah, he has a great opportunity to learn from Sammy D. And I think with the coach that we currently have, he'll definitely give folks the opportunity, when the opportunity is there. And so again, it's special for sure.
Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on, man, and just sharing with us your experience, Veterans Day, all that stuff, sports, Seahawks. You have a lot of insight on the Seahawks. You're closer to the action than a lot of us are, so that's super dope. And just being a friend. Like it's dope that I was sitting there thinking, I was like, wait a minute, I've known this dude for a long time, like more than half a decade. Like that's weird. It doesn't even seem like that, but
Yeah.
I've just been fun watching you grow and your family grow and just all the things, man. And just watching you grow as a person and developing as a person. And we all are, like I'm not the same person you met either, in a lot of
Right.
ways. So,
Yeah.
so lots changed over that time and it's just been really fun. So we'll definitely have you back on, probably on Brick by Brick as well. Talk Seahawks. You can be our Seahawks
Yeah.
guy, you and G
Yeah.
and
I'd love to
whoever
have
else.
it.
Yeah, so man, 30 seconds or whatever. If people want to get in touch with you or you want whatever, just let them know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on social, so jlangs3 on Instagram. I live within the community, so within the Tacoma community, so you could always find me there. But it's great. Thank you for having me on. It's a great opportunity to just talk about my story, and some of the things that I went through. I know people have different stories, but it's definitely um, a great opportunity. The last thing that I probably would say, I think for Veterans Day, you get a lot of folks that say, thank you for your service and those kind of things. And I think
Hmm.
sometimes there's stuff that we can do and a little bit more than that. So, probably what I would say is like, it's hard for folks like me who really doesn't like I'm not out there wearing anything that shows that I'm a vet. If you see, and not that there's anything wrong with it, but folks that have, especially today, I've seen a lot of folks that have, it's from whatever war they served in or
Mm-hmm.
those kind of things. And I'm definitely not that, but you could sort of tell who's been a veteran. And so I try to, if you can pay for their meal quietly,
Mm,
try to see if they could. I think for myself, you mentioned benefits that we have, like the VA loan and those kind of things. So, helping folks how to utilize that and how to
yeah,
be it. I've been fortunate to use that. Obviously, I'm not in your profession, but one of the things that a lot of folks don't know is, there's I think only three the statistics only 3 out of 10 veterans know that you don't have to put any money down with using a VA loan.
yeah, and we got to change that.
And so, it's those kind of things. And especially as my wife and I look for a new home, we've had the opportunity, but, we'll probably be looking for a new home within the next year or so.
Mm,
How to maximize that and how to utilize that, community events. I know you mentioned you've got some folks on your staff that are former veterans. So giving them the opportunities, I think that goes a long way, along with the thank you for your service. It shows more actionable just items and maybe some folks might not answer but just say how are you doing type thing. I think goes a long way for those folks that are probably struggling a little bit more than others.
mm.
I think you might see some folks that are just going through it, especially, I don't want to get too much into it, but what's going on in the world, the country these days.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think those kind of things really help folks as they look to transition into like their next chapter, what I would say, right?
Yeah.
Sort of tying it back to the sports thing as far as like, I know you're a big LeBron fan and everything like that. Eventually he's going to retire. Who knows the
Yep.
next, probably safe to say, obviously I'm not an insider with Braun, but next 2 years, I would say, right?
Yeah, I would
Maybe
hope.
2 to 3, right?
I would hope.
But transitioning to that next chapter and sort of like what's next. I think for myself, I sort of at the time, right, even though I had a goal, I just didn't, I sort of felt defeated and I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
yes, here's my goal. I got out of the military. I had benefits now to go to school. But then I started doubting myself. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be able to get an education. I just don't know if I can do
Mm-hmm.
it. Maybe I'm just going to be in the trade, and that changed obviously. And again, I'm fortunate to have to not only pursue undergraduate but graduate education and obtain both of those degrees.
Yeah.
Mm, But I think those things go a long way because I think some people are, uh, some veterans, I'll speak for myself, may feel forgotten about, right? I think,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they feel like that, um, if you say that you're a veteran, there's a certain stigma tied to that, or that you might not, people might look at you differently. And I think the thing is that people are here to help and
Mm-hmm.
are very thankful. Obviously, going throwing out stats, less than 1% of people actually serve in the military, and so I think doing those kind of things goes a long way, and just it means a lot more than just like to thank you for your service, for sure.
Yeah. No, those are great words. Thank you. That's a lot. That's powerful, and to hear from you. So thank you. And yeah, we just got to be better. I got to be better. I think we all can be better at acknowledging the folks that have served because they're like I always say. It's like, man, you give your life for a blank. Basically giving a blank check of your life over to the country, and I feel like that has to just there's no amount of things that can help, like that. And so outside of just being better and making sure that we're acknowledging it and celebrating them. So thank you for your service and I know your wife as well. She's a teacher still, right? Like if
Yep.
she is,
She works as yeah, she works in the school district here. She's been
yeah.
God, she's gonna watch this. She's gonna kill me for this, but I'm pretty sure I got this right. 12 years she's been in it and going strong.
Dang, 12. That was my 12th year is when I got into admin. Guys,
Yeah, so
I yeah, that's a long
so
time.
she's been doing it for 12 years. She did it. She's still young, but she did it, probably I think right out of college.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's helping those kids right now. And so yeah.
Man, that's dope. So you both are helping a lot of people in your lifetime. So thank you for your guys' service and what you do. And yeah, keep trucking on and keep helping. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap for this episode. And if you have any questions or anything like that, look in the comments, hit them up. With that, we're gonna be back next week. So inside Abode. Peace. All right, man.